Super Lucky Disaster Man. Chapter 84, The Only Good Person. When the armed detective Dazai was exchanged to the past, Komaeda Nagito's version of Dazai Osamu appeared in another world inside a special ability prison called Masalt. The people monitoring were instantly surprised, bustling up in excitement. Wait! How did he appear over there? Where is Dazai Osamu? Zoom in on the image. It seems like it's also Dazai Osamu. But the clothing and age are completely different. What in the world is going on? The Dazai Osamu that appeared in Masalt looked somewhat surprised. He instantly recognized the person in the opposite cell and looked around at the peculiar environment, realizing immediately that it didn't resemble an ordinary prison. I ended up in this world's Masalt. He remarked, amused, and glanced at the inmate in the adjacent cell. Hey fellow prisoner, how are you? The inmate next door looked slightly stunned, as if not expecting this development. But soon enough, he reacted, offering a faint smile. Parallel world Dazai, huh? With this age difference, is the 10-year bazooka malfunctioning again? You know the 10-year bazooka always malfunctions. Looks like you didn't lose your memory in this world. Dostoevsky. Excuse me. It seemed he had heard something strange. Since when did the word amnesia have any association with him? And judging from this Dazai Osamu's expression, it didn't seem like he was mistaken. Dazai Osamu's face was full of schadenfreude, captured by countless cameras, sharing his own jokes. The mountain near where you were living collapsed, causing an earthquake, which collapsed your house as well. After being taken to the hospital, you lost your memory. After confirming your identity, they decided to transfer you to Masalt. I didn't even go out of my way to inquire about this information, but everyone knows it. They originally intended to use this information to lure your accomplices, but when your accomplice got caught elsewhere, they revealed they believed your amnesia was also part of your plan, so they didn't rush to your rescue, just watched you get put into Masalt. Since Dazai Osamu found out that Dostoevsky had a hand in the mimic incident, he had begun to hold a grudge. Unfortunately, there weren't too many opportunities for him to mock him, but he didn't expect to have the chance to mock himself from a parallel world in front of the original. He couldn't help but feel his mood lift. Dostoevsky. Ah, that accomplice's brain must have been Ivan's. Clearly someone capable of manipulating rocks. Why wasn't he around during an earthquake? But to end up in Masalt due to amnesia, wasn't his parallel self a bit too unlucky? Dostoevsky remained relatively calm since, after all, that amnesiac fellow wasn't him, and it didn't affect him much. He simply treated it as expanding his horizons. However, the reactions of those monitoring were far from calm. Quick, record this. On X day of X month at X hour X minute, parallel world Dazai Osamu was swapped in. What are they talking about? Discussing how parallel world Dostoevsky lost his memory. The guards were shocked and envious. He even got amnesia. If high IQ criminals like him could get amnesia, we'd save ourselves a lot of trouble. Maybe we should consider putting an ad in for someone with the ability to induce amnesia. Dazai Osamu casually shared a joke, sparking new thoughts in the minds of those in charge of the ability prison. Even if it couldn't be used on Dazai Osamu, who has nullification abilities, getting Dostoevsky to lose his memory wouldn't be bad at all. How envious they were of their counterparts in the other world. It must make guarding him much easier. So, what were you talking about before I arrived? Dazai Osamu sat down, planning to drag the conversation to kill some time. Upon hearing the question, those in charge of the prison must have gotten nervous. In such a strictly guarded facility, procedural requirements take time since no one can be sure if it's a trap to make them lift the cell restrictions. By the time they worked out the procedures, he would have probably already returned, so for now, he intended to relax as much as possible without considering the feelings of others. Dostoevsky wasn't bothered by the sudden change of conversation partner. After all, once the original Dazai Osamu disappeared from this world, he could no longer influence the outside world, which was actually a good thing for him. Thus, Dostoevsky calmly responded, the previous conversation, he asked me, no matter how I flirt with the cafe's waitress, she won't give in to me. What should I do? Dazai Osamu pondered for a second. That certainly is a problem. What did you reply? Make her lose her livelihood and place to stay, deceive her family into cutting ties with her, then she should come cling to you. Dazai Osamu nodded. I see, too bad that won't work for me. Among the guards, some were hurriedly writing reports, others were searching for the special situations handling guide, while some were still watching the conversation between the two prisoners. At this moment, someone in the group suddenly whispered, "Douchebag." With someone starting it, the rest couldn't help but follow suit. Yeah, definitely a douchebag. The poor waitress. But he doesn't seem to plan to use it. Those who held some hope for Dazai Osamu were quickly disappointed. Dazai Osamu, having clearly heard Dostoevsky's answer and understood what kind of advice it was, still added a new question. If the person in question doesn't have any family, if everyone close to them has long since died, if they casually get middle-class tickets without ever worrying about money, what should I do then? Dostoevsky. This level of detail, there's definitely a clear target in mind. The Dazai Osamu from that parallel world really is completely different from the one in this world. It was obvious that he's the type who'd be forever single. You're seriously asking this question? Dostoevsky's hollow smile even became a bit subtle. Moreover, he even consulted him, suggesting that person was truly difficult to win over. Just for reference, of course. Dazai Osamu said casually, after all, there's no one suitable to discuss this with around me, plus asking you, you wouldn't run to my world and announce it everywhere, you're the perfect person to ask. As for whether Dostoevsky would lead him into a trap, Dostoevsky wouldn't do anything so meaningless because he definitely wouldn't fall for it. Stumped, Dostoevsky considered for a moment. Savior? He doesn't need my rescuing. Threat? By the time the threat is carried out, I'd probably already be dead. Although I might die at any moment now anyway. Even Dostoevsky was curious about who Dazai Osamu had his eyes on. Did you confess already? How did they refuse? Dazai Osamu said they're not in the mood for a double suicide at the moment, doesn't seem genuine. Dostoevsky. Your confession is inviting them for a double suicide? The guards stared in disbelief. Why are these two high IQ criminals talking about such things? Don't let your guard down, maybe there's some hidden signal or code. Record everything. The supervisor made an effort to justify them, raising the stakes, but they kept at it. Find an ability user who can manipulate hormones and make her fall in love with you. Dostoevsky suggested, an idea far too innocent compared to his answer to the waitress. Dazai Osamu wasn't a fool, he could clearly see through Dostoevsky's thoughts, he just wanted to make fun of him. After all, his ability nullifies others, and if he used this method, he'd probably never be able to touch the other. But... oh, you did remind me of something. Dazai Osamu mused, I guess I should thank you for that. Chatting with you has been very fruitful, I think I know what to do now. Dostoevsky. Though unsure what insight Dazai Osamu gleaned from his reply, the topic thankfully passed. Talking with a lovesick mind was exhausting. When he met the other Dazai Osamu again, he could tease him with this. Dostoevsky hadn't even finished his thought when pink smoke suddenly reappeared from across. The Dazai Osamu he knew had returned. How unfortunate. Dostoevsky thought, if only he had stayed away a little longer, it might have been enough time for chaos among those Dazai Osamu tried to contact. Now, this short period of time probably wasn't enough to have much impact. The returned Dazai was smiling joyfully, clearly having a great time in the other world, and began speaking as soon as he saw his fellow inmate. I heard that in another world, you were so busy watching the chaos that you ended up giving yourself amnesia. Dostoevsky, do you know that in another world, you are completely love-struck? Of course I know. This Dazai Osamu thought for a moment and sighed, in so many worlds, only I'm a good person. Dostoevsky. Upon hearing this, Dostoevsky immediately thought to himself. Looks like he's doing something bad again. Just like Dostoevsky's thoughts, Dazai Osamu, who had crossed over from the prison, instantly picked up on the hint of gossip and, filled with interest, began his questioning. After having already chatted until he was parched with 2 other Dazai Osamus, Komaeda Nagito thought for a moment, then took out the recording pen that had been tucked between some books. Actually, I just talked about this topic with the others. Why don't you listen to the recording instead? Armed Detective Dazai had no objections, and he took it, adjusted it a bit, and then, in who knows how fast speed, began listening. The recording pen was originally this world's Dazai Osamu's idea, not for eavesdropping but simply for a more roundabout way to follow up on matters. Its placement was obvious and wouldn't easily raise suspicion. Naturally, Boss Dazai noticed it right away when he arrived, but he didn't mind. In fact, a lot of what he said, which seemed directed at Komaeda Nagito, was actually intended for the Dazai Osamu who would later listen to the recording. That was part of Dazai Osamu's plan. Even if he wasn't present, he could still communicate across worlds with another version of himself. After all, many times, the same words with a different tone could have an entirely different meaning. And if the one speaking was himself, hearing the exact nuance made all the difference, something Komaeda Nagito's recounting could hardly achieve. That being said, while Dazai Osamu waited for half an hour just now, he didn't bother listening to the recording. Instead, he preferred to listen to Komaeda Nagito's voice. In short, this recording now ended up in the hands of the newly arrived armed detective Dazai. Komaeda Nagito, meanwhile, kept an eye on the time just in case. He wasn't sure how fast the armed detective Dazai had listened, as he had sped through parts. Roughly 4 minutes later, he stopped, having listened to a segment of the half-hour conversation between Komaeda Nagito and this world's Dazai Osamu. The armed detective Dazai rubbed his chin, handed the recording pen back to Komaeda Nagito, his expression a little complicated. The information in the recording was enormous, especially for someone as intelligent as Dazai Osamu. The amount of information was even greater. For Oda Saku's sake. The armed detective Dazai pondered subtly for a few seconds and made a decision. I really am too kind-hearted. Komaeda Nagito, who had reopened the recording. Sorry, what did you say? I didn't catch that. The armed detective Dazai grinned cheerfully and said, I was saying, Komaeda-kun, if you're still planning to get married and have kids, you should probably run while you still can. Chapter 84 End.